Okay, good morning everyone. Hope you all are good. Yes or no? Okay, that's great. So let me draw a bit architecture here. Okay, quickly draw. Let me draw the architecture quickly here. Okay, so let's say this is a connector server IP 192.168.0.24. Video is good, right? Everybody? Video is okay?
Oh, yes, it is.
Video is good, right?
Yes,
No
yes,
blur?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good. So last couple of classes, we were understanding how to get the Windows logs, right? So you understand that for Windows log, you have to install Windows connector, right? This connector, this system you are supposed to integrate. You install the Windows connector on the connector server, right? And then follow the step to get the Windows logs, right? Now everybody is clear how to integrate Windows devices, right? We can get the logs. Get in mind? So the devices, two devices we have integrated. Even we are getting the log from the ESM. I'll show you in the later part by giving the query. Once you understand how to write the query in the ESM, that time I'll show you device address equal to IP address of the device that we have integrated. And I see the layout logs are coming. I'll show you in the later part, right? Now we understand that majorly you see two kind of logs. Majorly device will support two type of log format. One is Windows, another is syslog, right? There are two type of log format: Windows and second is syslog, right? Windows and syslog, right? So the Windows device server and system support Windows log format, and Linux, Unix, iOS, or the devices which are hosted in this platform will support syslog. Windows works on pull mechanism. That means the connector itself will go and pull the logs. Yes or no? And syslog works on push mechanism. That means the device will have itself will have the capability to push the logs to any syslog server. Here syslog servers are our connector, right? Means any remote server, syslog server, the syslog device can push the log. Your router, switches, firewall, right? Linux devices will be either Linux is operating system, right? Linux operating system, and the devices which are hosted in this platform like iOS, Unix, Linux, right? Like router, switches, firewall, IP, SIDS, DLP, and majority of the security and networking devices will be either on the Linux or on iOS, right? Means if we cover syslog, that means majority of the device integration will be covering here. 90% devices will be either supporting Windows or syslog format. Get in mind, Windows server and system is supporting syslog, Windows, and Linux, Unix, iOS, or the devices which are hosted in this platform will support syslog. So now we are going to understand how to integrate syslog devices, right? If we understand syslog device integration, that means we will be able to integrate Linux devices, Unix, iOS, as well as like your router, switches, firewall, all security devices, network devices, we should be able to integrate. Yes or no? Right? So now we'll be understanding how to integrate syslog like firewall, router, like your switches, your Linux devices with Arcsight and get the log from the logger and ESM. Get your point? So let me clean this up. Okay, so so let's say this particular this is a connector server. It is C1. Okay, you can see this. Okay, and any device, maybe it is firewall, right? You want to integrate. Let's say this particular server connector server IP 192.168.0.24, and this particular system IP is 192.168.0.5, right? So this particular syslog, maybe it is firewall, maybe it is router, Linux devices. You want to get the logs on the Arcsight, right? Let's say you want to integrate Cisco ASA firewall, for example. Cisco ASA firewall. Again, Cisco ASA will be either on the Linux or on the Unix platform, right? So anyways, whatever device, either Syslog or any kind of device I want to integrate, the first step is I have to check, right, whether it is supported or not, supported by Arcsight or not. That means whether smart connector is available or not. For Windows cases, we have not checked because Windows is very well known devices, right? Popular device, every SIEM tool will support it. Get it? That's the reason I did not ask you to check on the document whether it is supported by Arcsight or not. Get it? If you check it also, you can get it in the document. It is mentioned that Windows is supported, but no need to check because Windows are very popular devices. Almost every SIEM will be supporting it. That's the reason I did not ask to check on the document whether it is supported or not. Yes or no? So, but any kind of devices here we are talking about Syslog devices, but any kind of device that you are integrating now, you have in the company, right? So first of all, you have to check whether it is supported by Arcsight or not. That means smart connector, supported connector is available or not. If your smart connector is available, then only you can install it and log will normalize in parse. Yes or no? Get it? So which connector you have to install? Everything you don't know. Get it? Because Windows are very popular device. Maybe you have checkpoint device. Maybe you have some Palo Alto firewall. Because there might be scenario. See, if you have already integrated, you know that which device is supported already or not, right? Which connector we have to install. You already know it because you did it in past. But in every company, whenever you go in the new company, you will see some kind of new devices that you might never have integrated. But it does not mean that you will not be able to integrate because your concept is clear. Yes or no? How to integrate devices, your concept is clear. So, but you do not know whether it's supported by Arcsight or not, right? The first step is you have to check whether particular device is supported by Arcsight or not. That means whether it's smart connector for that particular device is available or not. How will you check? By downloading the Arcsight supported product list from the Microsoft website, or you can Google it, Arcsight supported product list, right? And check. You'll get the list and check whether your device is listed there or not. If it is listed, that means is supported by Arcsight. Smart connector is available to integrate that device. Get your mind? Yes or no? Yeah. Right? So now you're understanding Syslog integration. So Syslog integration also first step will be same. First of all, we have to understand whether particular device is the device that you are integrating is supported by Arcsight or not. Right? Let's say interview asks, how will you integrate checkpoint firewall? Interview asks, how would you integrate checkpoint firewall? Right? You will tell that first of all, I'll check that whether checkpoint firewall is supported by Arcsight or not. First step, any new device that you don't know, you never integrated, first step is you have to check whether it is supported by Arcsight or not. That means smart connector is available to integrate that particular device or not. How will you check that? By download your document, Arcsight supported product list. So let's say, so our this one is Syslog device integration. Syslog devices integration with Arcsight. Okay, right? So first step is we have to check whether the device that you are integrating is supported by Arcsight or not. First of all, we have to check supported by Arcsight or not. Right? By referring the रेफर की स्पेलिंग क्या होती है? RE डबल F और सिंगल F?
Single F.
Single F.
RESER. RESER.
रेफरिंग गलत हो गया लगता है. See, referring the Arcsight supported product list document. List. Next time, so when I will have the habit, I will not have to write it here. I can just call that the document and I can explain you. But I'm just making my habit to write it here. So first of all is you will check, right, whether particular device is supported by Arcsight or not, right, by referring the Arcsight supported product list. Yes or no? So you mention after that, if it is mentioned, if it is I mean what by referring the, if your device is listed, that means it is supported by Arcsight. If it is not listed, that means it is not supported by Arcsight. You mention after this, if it is listed on the document, that means the device is supported by Arcsight. And if it is not listed, that means it is not supported by Arcsight.
But there would be some provision. There should be some provision, right? If at all there are certain products which are not in the list, it could parse and normalize.
So we already talked about flex connector, right? Any device not supported, that means there you have to write your own parser file and create the flex connector.
Okay.
In previous classes, we talk about the type of connectors. Supported devices means smart connector developed by Arcsight. Unsupported devices means flex connector. You have to develop the parser file flex connector yourself. Right? So if it is listed, that means it is supported by Arcsight and a smart connector is available to integrate the device. And if it is not listed, that means it is not supported by Arcsight. In that case, you might have to go with the customized connector, that is flex connector. You add those points. If it is mentioned on the document that it is supported by Arcsight and smart connector is available to integrate the device. If it is not available, that means it is not supported by Arcsight. If it is not listed, that means it is not supported by Arcsight. If it is listed on the document, that means it is supported by Arcsight. If it is listed in the document, that means it is supported by Arcsight and a smart connector is available to integrate that device. If it is not listed, that means it is not supported by Arcsight. In that case, you may have to go with the flex connector.
Sir, repeat again.
If it is supported, if it is listed on the document, that means it is supported by Arcsight. If it is listed, the device it is listed on the document, right? That means it is supported by Arcsight and smart connector is available to integrate that device. And if it is not listed, that means it is not supported by Arcsight, and in that case, we have to go with the flex connector.
Creating or parsing or customizing needs coding, or it is just a CSV file creation and mapping?
No, it's a parsing means mapping, right? Mapping.
Yeah.
Mapping with the device specific set with the Arcsight defined CEF, right? And that is done on the either through regex, regular expression, or XML. The coding, regular expression or XML, right? That's the reason 95% people are not able to connect the create the flex connector, because generally few people are maybe majority of people does not know the regex or XML, right? In that case, if my company is maybe possible to do 3% devices, some internal applications, in-house applications, or some of the one or two SME kind of devices I have in my company, those are not supported. Otherwise, 95% devices will be supported by Arcsight for any typical enterprise architecture infrastructure, right? Majority of the devices will be integrating, will be supported. Some devices may be possible not supported. In that case, you have to go with the flex connector. Either you have resources to create, you can create yourself in the company, or you can outsource to some other company to create the flex. Generally, company charges 1 to 2 lakh rupees per particular connector, one flex connector.
Generally, when we are talking about industrial devices, maybe certain IoTs or
enterprise, enterprise level
Modbuses and all, enterprise level. I mean, in factories, basically, PLCs and stuff, there could be some OEMs that could be locally manufactured, and in that case, maybe a customization is required.
Right. Generally, Arcsight is very aggressive to create the connector for the enterprise level of devices which enterprise companies are using. Otherwise, company will not buy those products, right? Because if somebody came from Arcsight to me to do the POC or something to evaluate the product, right? I'll tell that I have these all product. Is it supported by Arcsight? If they have to say no, in that case, I may not buy the Arcsight because many devices are not supported. Yes or no? So that's a negative point for them. So they will ensure that all the enterprise which are popular, because Arcsight is enterprise level of tool. So majority of the devices will be supported by Arcsight. Otherwise, that's a negative point for them. Get in mind. So Arcsight ensure that as soon as any enterprise level of tool comes and it's being popular in the enterprise, they will create the smart connector for that. Okay. You have option. If you think that some of the devices which are very popular in enterprise level devices and it is not supported by Arcsight, you can also raise the FR request, that is called a feature request. You can tell the Arcsight that is the enterprise level of tool, we have it but it's not supported, smart connector is not available, kindly create the smart connector for that, right? That is on best effort basis. Arcsight never commit that how soon they will create, but if they will relate and they understand that demand is high for that particular device, right, and enterprise level device, they may release the connector. In that case, you may not have to go with the flex connector. But in-house applications, those are your own applications, right? Arcsight, no tool is going to create the flex connector or customize integration for your own devices, right? In that case, you have to manage your own yourself with the flex connector.
Yeah, the reason being because we are talking about digital manufacturing and these automations, and there are a lot of devices that are being manufactured locally, which couldn't be a branded one, and wherein a customization would be of a heavy demand. I know, so there could be some customization.
It depends. See, a lot of devices we have, but the device, not all devices we are integrating, right? The devices on which we have security concern.
Correct.
Yes or no? Security concern, and that has to be monitored by a security team. Only those devices are required to be integrated, not all digital devices. If some
Yes.
devices are not at all having security concern, we are not going to integrate. Yes or no?
True, true.
So if any device comes in which are which are many companies are using, Arcsight certainly will create the connect of that. So that is for all the SIM tool. Any customized devices, local devices which are not famous, which is not being deployed by many companies, no SIM will support, because they cannot go with the individual local devices, right? There are so many manufacturers. But enterprise devices does not go generally. They will go with well-known devices only. They cannot, especially for security-related devices, right? They cannot go any local vendors and all, because those will not be reliable. Yes or no? Okay. So first step is you have to check whether your device is supported by Arcsight or not. If it is not supported, flex connector. If it is supported, that means it is smart connector available to integrate that device, right? Now you checked on the list, it is supported. Now what is the next step you have to do? You have to check if it is supported. Then let's say Cisco firewall you wanted to integrate. Cisco firewall, Cisco ASA firewall you wanted to integrate, right? Now Cisco ASA has multiple versions, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8 and all, right? Now you have to check whether my version is supported or not. Yes or no? And which connector I have to install? What is the connector name? Yes or no? What is the connector name? Which connector I have to install? Generally, you know what happens? Since your Cisco all the firewall, router, Linux devices, all are Syslog, all are based on Syslog format. All are generating logs on Syslog format, right? That means all are having same format, log format, Syslog format. Yes or no? Same Syslog format they are generating. Syslog is the format, log format, how the devices generate the logs, right? So all devices, Linux, Unix, iOS, all devices which are hosted in this platform will support Syslog. Get it? So you know what happens? Arcsight has created one common connector, default connector, that is called a Syslog daemon connector. ये राइटिंग थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी इसमें. Arcsight has created Syslog, O की जगह R हो जाता है, दिखता नहीं है ना. So Arcsight has a default connector that is called Syslog daemon connector, right? The devices which are supporting Syslog, right? So you know what happens? Let's say any device, Syslog device generate the logs, right? So this Syslog, let's say this Syslog connector is having 30 field set, 30 default Syslog field set. Any device generate the logs, right? The default field set, it is having, let's say, 30 field set. If any devices will generate these 30 field set, in that case, you can install Syslog daemon connector and get those devices normalized, get those logs normalized, right? These are default Syslog connector. Okay? Any device which generate which supports Syslog may support this Syslog daemon connector, because may generate these kind of field set. Okay? But what happens is some devices even support Syslog. They're on Linux, Unix, iOS platform supporting Syslog, but apart from this default 30 field set, they're having some 3, 4, 5 maybe extra field set. Get it? Those support Syslog and having Syslog default field set. Apart from that, having some customized, some extra field set. Get it? In that case, if you integrate those devices with Syslog daemon connector, what will happen is the default 30 field set will get normalized, but rest 3, 4 field set will not be normalized. Get it? Because apart from Syslog default logs field set, they are having some extra field set also. You know what I'm saying? This is Syslog standard daemon connector having a default field set. If any devices are having those default field set, in that case you can integrate the Syslog daemon connector only and got the log normalized and send it to logger and ESM. But there might be possible that some devices are having support Syslog, maybe there's a router or a firewall or IPS IDs and all, right? Those are Syslog format, right? But apart from default field set, they are having some extra field set. So if you integrate with Syslog, daemon connector, in that case, some field set may not be normalized. Yes or no? So what happens is, whenever any new device comes to the production, comes in the company, comes in the enterprise network, Arcsight evaluate, Arcsight check what kind of device it is. Okay, it's a Syslog device. Let's say Cisco ASA first time came in the company, some market, right? Now Arcsight has to create the connector, support a connector for that, right? Then Arcsight will check what are the field set is capturing. ArcSight will understand, okay, it is having syslog field set, syslog, right? Default syslog field set. Okay, then ArcSight will create the document and saying that it is supported by ArcSight and we can integrate syslog CSA with syslog daemon connector only, which is already available with us. Because Cisco ASE is also having same field set, so that can be integrated with syslog daemon connector. Get a mind? Now Palo Alto firewall came in the market. Palo Alto firewall has came in the market. Now ArcSight has to create the connector for that device also, right? Now ArcSight has pulled the last 24 hours logs and check what are the field set capturing logs, and they come to know it is syslog devices because it is hosted on Linux, right? It is having majority of syslog field set, but some field set are extra. 3-4 fields are extra, which is not the part of default syslog. In that case, ArcSight understands that we cannot integrate that particular device with syslog daemon connector. Now, just because that device is very famous, right? And if you integrate with syslog daemon connector, 4 or 5 fields will not get normalized. So no sense of getting those logs. Some data will be missed. Yes or no? Will not be mapped with ArcSight defined field set. In that case, ArcSight will have to create the dedicated connector for that particular device, and that connector name maybe they can give Palo Alto firewall connector, or whatever name they want to give, similar kind of name they can give. Maybe they will have to create, so they will have to add those default field set as well as 3-4 extra field set that Palo Alto is having. By adding those field set on the parser file, they have to create one dedicated connector for that particular device. So there will be scenarios where in one, let's say in connector server, you have installed syslog daemon connector, right? And many, let's say Linux support syslog daemon connector. Your router, Cisco router will support syslog daemon connector. Your Cisco ASA firewall will support syslog daemon connector, right? Maybe one particular connector, you may have 100 of devices integrated. Let's say you have 50 Linux devices which are syslog daemon connector. You may have 30 router which are supporting syslog daemon connector. You may have 20 switches. You may have some Cisco firewall, right? All are support syslog daemon connector. In that case, all devices you have the option to integrate on same connector, or you may have installed other connector also, syslog daemon connector, and some device you can install with integrate with other connector, right? But one connector can also integrate all other devices, right? So this is a scenario where one connector you're integrating 100 of devices with the same connector. Yes or no? While Palo Alto is a different device, right? So one device only you are installing one connector for single device. So there will be a scenario where one connector will have 100 of devices integrated, same type of devices, and there will be a scenario where one connector you have dedicated one particular device. For one particular device only, you have dedicated connector. Let's say Symantec antivirus I was planning to integrate, right? I checked it supports Syslog because it's a Linux platform, but it does not support Syslog daemon connector. In that case, existing connection I cannot integrate, right? I check on the document, integration document, it is written that there is a dedicated Syslog Symantec connector for that, right? In that case, for Symantec antivirus only, I have to install one more connector. That's the reason you will see maybe 25-30 connector will be on one connector server based on the type of devices you are having. If your device will support syslog daemon connector, it is already installed, existing connector you can integrate. If it does not support syslog daemon connector, there is dedicated connector available. In that case, you have to install dedicated connector for that particular device only. What do you mind? Understand everybody what I'm saying?
So you're saying syslog daemon connectors is a universal connector in Linux for devices and
default connector. It's a default. See, syslog daemon connector is the default syslog connector. Means the devices which are having default syslog field set. Default, let's say 30 field set are default for syslog. If any device is having default field set, it will support default syslog daemon connector. If any device is having some extra field set apart from default syslog field set, in that case, they have to create the dedicated syslog connector. Anyone? Yes or no? 1 minute, I'll ask you to write. So, first step you have written. Second step, what you have to do is, now you have to download the device integration document. You check if your device is supported, right? So what I have done is, ArcSight has created, almost for all devices which are supported by ArcSight, has created a dedicated document integration document, dedicated integration document, right? In that document, you can see which all version of your device is supported, because it is mentioned it is supported, right? Now, if you download the document, it is written which all version of that particular device is supported. And which connector you have to install. Which connector you have to install. Whether default syslog connector will support. So just checking the quality on my phone. What is the quality? Was good.
So can you just please repeat it once more?
What?
Can you please repeat it once more?
क्या बोल रहा है?
What all you said? Hello.
I did not understand what you are saying.
Yeah, can you please repeat it once more?
क्या बोल रहा है यार?
Aditya, you are not
Repeat
clear
once
yet.
more.
Saying, can you repeat once more?
So I have not asked you to write as of now. I have not asked you to write as of now. I'm just explaining that once you see your device is supported, right? So Arcsight has created for almost all the devices integration document, right? So let's say Cisco AC firewall you wanted to integrate. You check it, it's supported by Arcsight, right? Then from Arcsight website, Microfocus website, you can download the document, Cisco AC integration document with Arcsight. Get it? You download the document. In the document, it is written, that is called integration document, right? It is written which all version of Cisco AC supported and which connector we have to install. Either Syslog daemon connector default connector, or there is a dedicated Syslog connector is available. It is mentioned there, right? So if it is default connector, then you integrate, maybe you already have connector installed on connector server where you have integrated some other devices. You have the option to integrate your firewall also with the same connector which is already integrated, it is already installed. Or if it is dedicated Syslog connector, in that case, it will written the name, which connector we have to install. Get your mind? Yes or no? So in that case, you install that connector, right? Then it will be written there also how to configure that connector. That means what kind of configuration we have to do on the connector end in order to receive the logs, right? And it is also written what kind of configuration has to be done on the device end in order to forward the logs to the connector.
Sulabh, I
Yes.
have one question.
Yes.
Like, can we install multiple different connectors on the same server? Because in Windows, we have 445 port is a common one. I think we'll not be able to install multiple connectors on the same server, right? In Linux,
Let me tell you that.
Okay.
Since Windows work on default port, right? Windows can pull the log on default port which is 445 for unified connector. That's the reason we are not able to install any other connector, because particular connector is blocked already, particular port, right? While for Syslog, we can use multiple port number. On third step, fourth step, I'll tell you which port number it is used. So multiple Syslog connector you can install on multiple different port numbers.
Okay.
Yesterday
class we just did the with same connector with the integration of multiple device, right? Not to installation of the multiple connector.
So here you understand, right? That may be possible that particular connector may not support the device that you are integrating. In that case, you need dedicated Syslog connector. In that case, you need to install another Syslog connector, dedicated connector for that particular device. That is again a Syslog connector only, but having some extra field set. In that case, you need to install another connector. For Windows cases, one connector is fine because all Windows devices are same logs they are generating. One connector will support. But in case of Syslog, different devices having apart from some different field set apart from default Syslog. In that case, you need to have dedicated Syslog connector for those devices.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
It is written already in document whether you can integrate particular device with default Syslog connector or you need to download separate dedicated Syslog connector. Get your mind? If this concept is clear now, you should be able to integrate any kind of device. Get your mind? So second step, what I have to do is we have to download the device integration document, and where we have to check which connector we have to install. Now second step you write in second step. Second step, see, since we are talking about a smart connector, right? So in the first step, we are considering that our device is listed in the device integration document. Okay. If it is not listed, then we will abort this process and go with the flex connector. It is separate, right? So we are considering that since we are talking about the smart connector, that means our device is listed on the document. 95% of devices will be listed, enterprise devices. Okay. So now second step is we'll integrate the we'll download the integration document, device integration document for that particular device. Now we will download the device integration document. For that particular device.
You have given the steps in the Word document that you have shared, how to integrate a Syslog device.
Okay, so yeah, I have given the document, but why I'm asking you to write is at least you will remember, because that's
Correct.
very important.
Yeah.
That is very important. Otherwise, I have just shown you the slides, the document here, and I would have explained you. But that is very important. That's the reason in every class I'm asking you to write. Because while you write on your copy, you will remember for a long time. It's extra time for me. It is extra time for me and for you as well. But I'm writing, asking you to write so that it will be there for a long time.
Yeah, but that's a good practice.
Because we have so many documents we receive, right? If I tell somebody in a group and all that I have this document, I have this book, everybody will tell that I need this, I need that, I need this. They will collect the document from various sources, they'll keep on your system and they never go through it. Yes or no? That's the reason I'm asking you to write, even though you have it already.
Very well.
Yeah, it happens. It happens, yeah.
So second step is now we'll download the device integration document. Now we'll download the device integration document, where we can see that which all version of our device is supported. See, this kind of things I does only for the SOC analysis class. I have some other thing like Sentinel, your Splunk. I never do that because we have highly experienced people there, and they do not have that much of time. Yes or no? They have to finish the training in 15 days, something like that. So I do not do that. I just share the document. But here in this class, majority of people are looking for a job change. So they need in-depth knowledge and they need to remember the concept. That's the reason I'm explaining here, and I'm asking to write it here also, even though I have shared the document already. Yes or no? So what I'm saying is we'll download the device integration document. We'll download the integration document where we can check, where we can see that, or we can check that which all version of our device supported. Which all version of the device is supported. Which all version of the device is supported. Which all version of the device is supported. Remind, and which connector we have to install. Which connector we have to install. Whether Syslog daemon connector, whether default 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 Syslog daemon connector, or there is a dedicated Syslog, or there is a dedicated Syslog connector is available to integrate the device, or there is a dedicated Syslog connector is available for to integrate that particular device, or there is a dedicated syslog connector is available to integrate that particular device.
Sir, please repeat once again, sir.
What I have to repeat? So we have to, where we can check whether it supports syslog, default syslog demand connector, or there is a dedicated syslog connector available to integrate that device, to integrate that device, right? To integrate that device. So here we are just checking, right, which connector we have to install, which version is supported, and which connector we have to install, because we are not sure, we don't know, right? So we have to check on the document whether syslog demand connector or whether dedicated syslog connector we have to install. So we can check the name also there. The name will be written which connector, what is the name. So that while you install the connector, there is a drop down box, right, where you have to select the connector. So we can find that connector on that drop down box. Anyone? That drop down, we can find that connector and install it. Anyone? Check on the document which connector, default syslog connector, maybe it is already installed. You can integrate with existing connector, or if there is a dedicated connector available, so you have to install new connector, launch that connector setup file, and find that connector name on the drop down box element that I have shown yesterday. So that is there, right? And it is also mentioned in the document what kind of configuration has to be done on the connector as well as on the end device end. Element in the document is also there how to configure the connector to receive the logs, right, as well as what kind of configuration has to be done on the end device, because end device will forward the logs now to the connector. So we have to configure, right? So we have to configure the IP address and port number on the end device. We are config. So in the connector. So let me tell you here. Right. So what we have to do is, let's say this is a particular IP address, like 192.168.0.24, right? So this is the IP address of the connector server, right? And while we are installing the connector, syslog connector, we have to configure the port number. On which port number? Because syslog was a push mechanism. That means device itself will push the logs and connector will listen. Connector will listen on particular port number. So while installing the connector, we have to configure the port number. Let's say 514 you are configuring. So we have to configure the port number. So now at the end device, what you have to do is you have to configure the port number of particular connector as well as IP address of the connector. You go on the end device and configure where to forward the logs. Yes or no? So you configure on which port number you have installed the connector, port number as well as connector server IP address. You configure those parameters and as well as protocol. To forward the logs, which protocol you will be using, right? So connector, you have to configure port number, protocol, TCP, UDP, as well as IP address. They are already configured on the connector server. These three parameters you configure the end device in order to forward the logs. The device will start forwarding the logs and connector will start listening, right? Get a point? Yes or no? So it is also there in the document how to configure the connector, how to configure the port number protocol on the connector to listen the log, as well as how to configure the log forwarding, where to configure IP address, port number, protocol to forward the logs. Different devices may have different configuration. After all, we are configuring all these three parameters only, port number, protocol, and IP address on the end device to forward the logs. But different devices may have different configuration setting. Yeah, mind? So how to configure it on the end device? That is also there in the particular device integration document. How to install that connector step by step, that is also there on the document. Now the funda is clear, yes or no? To integrate devices, funda would be clear, right? You understand that which connect, what is supported is not. First of all, you check. Then download the integration document where you can see which connector, which version is supported, and which connector we have to install, and how to install and configure that particular connector. That is also written how to configure the end device in order to forward the log. IP address, port number, protocol, how to configure the connector server detail to order forward the log. That is also there, right? So write in the point. So क्या किया हमने? What you have done already? to indicate the device, right? We can also check. नहीं इसी में लिखना है. On this step, you can also check what kind of configuration has to be done. On the connector, configuration has to be done on the connector as well as on the end device, connector as well as on the end device. As well as end device. In order to forward the logs. You know what
Syllog, I
happens?
think I have missed something. We can also check on connector as well as end device.
We can also check what kind of configuration has to be done on the connector as well as on the end device in order to forward the logs.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Written? You know what happens?
Sir, repeat
Apart
please.
from, yeah. Any question?
Repeat that sentence, please.
Okay. What I'm saying
Some
is,
internet problem was there, so I didn't hear that.
so what happens is, apart from that, we can also check what kind of configuration has to be done on the connector end as well as on the end device end in order to forward the logs. रट जाएंगे इस step आपको. How many times I'm repeating? So and you should be able to explain. This is a very important question from the interview perspective. People are explaining the steps and they're getting the job. Because generally people who does it also though they are not able to explain it properly. Right? Step by step you are understanding here. Last time, just 2 weeks back, one of the guy has given the interview on one of the company. They asked Windows integration, right? He explained the steps, how has done the integration step by step. Interviewer was really very happy. He provided feedback to me, that person, that he got very happy. He said that, Praveen, I have never seen, I have been interviewing many people for this post and I have never seen anybody explain the concept like this way, that very good way, right? He got very happy. And again, one scenario also I have given during the training, real-time scenario, that also he explained like that only. He was very happy and he has given 200% hike without even asking. 200. His package was around something, I think 8 to 9 lakhs. He got 25 lakhs. You'll not believe that without even asking, he got this much of package. So he explained a very good way, step by step, right? So see, many people does the same thing, but how you are communicating the things, that is also very important. Yes or no? Some people knows it. Yeah. What?
Cannot see the screen. Can't see the screen.
I'm not in front of my screen actually. You are saying that you are not able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not on the screen. I'm not on the board. I'm not on the board. So what I was telling is, you heard right? I was not on the part of on front of a screen. So that is what I tell. That's a very important thing. And even device integration is a part of L2, L3 concept. That's the reason I'm asking you to write the things and explaining I'm taking time to explain this, because that is L2, L3. That's not a L1 task. L2, L3, admin people are doing this, right? That concept you are going to understand. Many people work for 7 years, 8 years. They never knows that how to integrate devices. Very important concept. If I'm not explaining this, it's very difficult for you to understand by going through some videos or going through the, going through some documents. If your concept is clear, every document you will understand now. Every document. Okay. So second step, you have written right which character you have to install and what kind of configuration has to be on a device and as well as character, and you can see that. Apart from that, in the document, it is also written, because once you collect the logs in the connector, right, connector parse and normalize the event and send it, means connector will map the device specific field set with the Arcsight defined field set. Yes or no? So in the device integration document, it is also written which field of particular device, what is the field name of particular device, will be mapped with which field of Arcsight. how the normalization is happening, right? Which field map with which field of Arcsight, that is also written in the document. So if you, let's say, if you're the firewall expert, you know the firewall field set. Now you have to understand which all field set of firewall have been mapped with which. Let's say now SRC will be called as source address in Arcsight. DST will be called as destination address in Arcsight. Get what I mean? Yes or no? So those field set mapping is also there in the document. If you want to check that, you can also check that. As well as some troubleshooting steps, some well-known troubleshooting. Might be having some mistakes, right? So some troubleshooting steps are also there in the document, some well-known problems. So how you can troubleshoot, that will be also maybe available on particular document. You see that now? You see that, right? Now that was the second step, right? You see in the document now. Now in the third step, what you have to do? Now you understand? Device is supported, connector is available. Now third step, what will you do? Third step.
Install the connector.
Yes, you have to install the connector now. Yes or no? So this was your connector server, right? And this device, particular device, you have to integrate. So first of all, you have to install the connector. First of all, you have to install the connector, right? So now first of all, you have to install the connector and configure the port number and protocol. So let me tell you that. First you write. First you listen to me first. Then you write. So now, third step, you have to install this connector, either Syslog daemon connector or dedicated Syslog connector. But Syslog daemon connector may be possible that it's already installed because some of the Linux devices are already integrated this particular connector. So your device is also Syslog daemon connector. So you can also integrate that particular device to this connector only. No need to install another connector. But some of the companies may think that okay, I'm integrating firewall, right? Because that connector already so many Linux devices are integrated, and firewall is a critical device. Let's integrate firewall with dedicated Syslog connector. Means default Syslog connector, but dedicated for firewall. Get it? So you may install another connector. Get it? So while you are installing the connector, you have to configure the port number and protocol on which connector has to listen the logs. Get it? IP address will be of connector server IP address. For every connector, let's say 25 connectors are installed here, right? For every connector, same IP address because it's a server IP address. No need to, we cannot assign separate IP to separate connector. Get it? Connector application IP will be same only, right? Let's say the particular IP 192.168.0.24. Get it? For all connector, this is the IP. Now on the particular connector, we'll listen on which port and protocol. Get it? So we have to configure, you have to install and configure the port number and protocol. Get it? So by default, once you install the connector, there will be a port which is already configured and protocol which is already configured while you install the connector. So anybody knows what is the default Syslog port number?
514.
514, right? What default Syslog connector is? Port number is 514 protocol. Anybody protocol?
UDP.
UDP.
By default Syslog default port. Anybody ask what is the default Syslog port and protocol? 514 with protocol. UDP, right? So now third step, we have to install the respective connector, either Syslog daemon connector or what mentioned in the document, right? And configure the port number and protocol. Correct? Now install the respective connector, either it may be Syslog daemon connector or respective dedicated Syslog connector, right? You have to install and configure the port number and protocol. You read it, right? Third step. Now we have to install the respective connector and configure the port number and protocol on which we want to receive the logs. We want connector to receive the logs. Now we have to configure the port number and protocol on which we want the connector to receive the logs.
So now we have to
Is it?
install the respective connector. After that, what you have mentioned, sir?
And now we have to install the respective connector and configure the port number and protocol on which we want the connector to receive the logs.
Sir, please repeat once again third step.
Now we'll configure the. So क्या बोला था? Now we'll install the respective connector and configure the port number and protocol on which we want the connector to receive the logs, listen the logs, right? This Arcsight I'm teaching you in more than 1.5 months something, right? In the corporate, I teach the same thing in 5 days. For enterprise training, corporate training, I just train this in 5 days, full Arcsight. But the training will not be like this. I'll be showing the slides, not on the board, and not asking you to write and everything. It will be on the board.
Sir, what was the last line on which we want to?
We want the connector to receive the logs. Port number protocol on which we want the connector to receive the logs. Huh? Connector. No, on connector. IP address will be on connector server, right? And for connector that you have to install Syslog connector, right? On which we have to configure. While installation, we have to configure port number protocol on the connector, right? On which we want to receive the logs. Get it? Understand?
Sir, do we use TCP protocol also?
Either you can use TCP or UDP. Anything,
Okay,
but recommended is to use the TCP because TCP is a reliable protocol, guaranteed delivery of data, right?
But sir, lots of that logs are coming, so it's better to use that UDP or that TCP.
Depends. Some company find data is very critical. In that case, they can go with the TCP. Some companies may think that their firewall IP is generating huge number of logs, router generating huge number of logs, right? It's very bandwidth intensive, right? So they may go with the UDP protocol. Some of the firewall like FortiGate firewall, Cisco SA, by default their configuration is they will forward the logs on the UDP only, right?
But
if you
sir,
want to
there may be some data loss, no, in case of UDP.
See, we understand that UDP is not reliable, but if you have enough bandwidth, enough thing, it does not make any drops.
Okay.
Get it? Agar pipe, yeah.
So when we are talking about devices, are we trying to configure it with the same port 514 as on with the connector?
So right. So when which port number connector is listening, right? End device also should be forward the logs on the same port number.
Correct.
So what port number, protocol, and IP address. Now same configuration you have to do on the end device in order to forward the logs. I'll check. Now you don't have to write right now because that is one of our step. Okay. So now
it can be customized port, correct, sir?
We can customize. So here you write it. So you have to configure port number protocol, right? So 514 UDP is the default port and protocol. 514 TCP UDP 514 is the default port. UDP 514 is the default Syslog port and protocol. UDP 514 is the default port and protocol. However, we can use any customized port number. इंदौर से आया ट्रेडिंग के लिए होगा. हेलो, however we can customize the port number and use the port number such as 515, 516, 517, 518, 519. These all port number we can mention, or any port number more than 1024. What happens is below 1024 many ports are reserved for particular service, right? So 1024 maximum port are free. So any port you can use. So 514 to 519, these ports you can use to receive the logs. Any port you can configure. 514 is default port, right? However, you can, because sometimes you may have to install multiple connectors, Syslog connector, and 514 you may already use in one of the connector. Then second connector you cannot use on the same port. Yes or no? In that case, you need to configure some other port number. So 515, 516, 518, 519, or any port number more than 104 you can configure higher end port. Because from till 1024, many ports are reserved for particular service. Like 514 is reserved for Syslog, right? It is reserved for HTTP. 443 is reserved for HTTPS. So we cannot use those reserved port. Get in mind? So more than 104, many of the ports are free ports. Maybe you might not be using on any of the particular host. So you can use any port more than 1024. Got it? Got it, everybody? So I'm saying 514 is the default port. However, we can change the port to 514 to 519 any port, and more than 104 any port. And protocol also we can configure TCP. You write it. Okay. You already written, right? More than 104 any port, as well as protocol also we can change it to TCP. Now, here let's say this particular connector you have configured 514 and UDP. Now you install the connector. Now this particular device you wanted to integrate. You already installed the connector, configure the connector. What you will do now? What's the next thing you have to do? Remember while we integrate Windows devices, what are the steps we have followed? Right? So after installation of connector, what is the next step?
Check the connectivity.
Connectivity, right? We have to ensure that there should be a connectivity between the end device as well as the connector server. Connectivity should be enabled between the end device and the connector server. Means if this particular device is IP is 192.168.0.5, right? So we have to ensure that from this particular device to connector server, there should be a connectivity. So how we can check the connectivity? How we can check whether connectivity is there or not?
Ping.
Ping, right? We can ping this particular device, pinging connectivity is there. If it's not there, if connectivity is not there, what will you do? If you check that there is no connectivity, what will you do?
Check for firewalls.
Network team.
Network team. Yes or no? Network team only work on router and switches, right? And router and switches are the networking devices. Means somewhere route is not there, somewhere it is blocking, somewhere happening, right? Physical cable might be existing already. Physical cable. They are not doing the physical connectivity that time, right? Already all the devices are connected to each other. But virtual connectivity, maybe somewhere router and switches, maybe route is not there on the switches, right? In that case, you have to call or raise the case with the network team, right? Network team to enable the connectivity. Yes or no? So it was the fourth step, right? So next step you write, we have to ensure that connectivity should be enabled between the end device as well as connector server. Connectivity should be enabled between the end device and the connector server.
So can you repeat once again?
We have to ensure that connectivity is enabled between the end device and connector server.
Sir, Kishore here.
Yes, Kishore.
So in this situation, we will follow the same method. We will follow the same method that we followed for the Windows integration by running trace route or I mean just
that is a connectivity, right?
port is open or not. If not, then call that
Right. Any device you want to give connectivity and all, right? You have to follow the same process. Not only for integration devices. Anytime you see there is no connectivity and all, we have to follow the same process. Trace route you can do the ping, right? You can do the telnet for the port. So it was the fourth step, right, to enable the connectivity, right? And fifth step is there might be possible. There might be possible that
firewall in between,
and it's blocking the port. Yes or no? So we have to ensure that the port number that you have configured on the connector port and protocol that would be open if there is a firewall in between, right? We have to ensure that the port number that you have configured 504 or any other port number that you have configured on the connector, right? That should be open between the device and the connector server if there is a firewall in between. Write it.
Can you repeat fifth step?
So we have to ensure that what I'm saying is we have to ensure that the particular port number that you have configured on the connector, right, should be open between the connector as well as connector server and end device if there is a firewall in between. Anyone mind? What? Any question? No, right? Understood, everybody? Yes or no?
Fifth step jaldi ho gaya, sir.
We have to ensure that the port number that you have configured on the connector, right, should be open between the connector server as well as end device if there is a firewall in between. So there might be possible that you configure port number here, but firewall is blocking in between them, right? So you have to ensure that if it is not open, what will you do? How will you can check whether it is open or not?
Telnet.
You can do the telnet of particular port, right? But sometimes telnet command will not be enabled, may not be enabled. So in that case, you have to
contact the engineer.
You have to contact the firewall team to ensure the port number is open or to ask them to open that particular port number. Bear mind? Yes or no? Now we have connectivity also. Now we have port number also open, right? Now what will you do? Connector is also installed and on listening mode on now 5 and 4 or whatever port you have configured protocol, and now listening mode means whoever send the logs, it will listen on particular port number. Can I mind? Yes or no? You know what happens whenever this particular server has all the port number. This particular server has all the port number. That's the reason it's necessary to configure particular port number, particular connector. Because whenever you send something, this, let's say without port number, only IP you are forwarding, right? So you're forwarding here, now it will get confused which multiple application is there, right? On which application I have to forward the logs. Because it has all the ports are already open here. Which port number, which device, which application it has to contact. That's the reason we have to assign particular port. Once it reaches the logs here, then it will check which port number it has to go. Then 5 and 4, okay, this connector is on 5 and 4, the logs will reach on this connector. That's the reason any connector you install, we have to configure port number on which. So might be if you install two Syslog connector, in that case you have to configure separate port. So this particular device will send the logs to 5 and 4 number, this particular connector. This particular device is now forwarding the logs to 5 and 6 port number, means this port number. The respective connector will receive the log of the respective port. Get my mind? Right? So now Now you have installed the connector already. Yes or no? And now you have connectivity also. And now you have configured 514 and UDP protocol. Right? And now you have connectivity also and port number also. There was firewall in between, right? On which port number is also open. What will you do the next step now?
We'll see the data
What
flows.
we enable?
Recent settings.
Anybody?
You will see whether the data is flowing from the.
So automatically data will not be flowing, right?
Correct.
You have to check ask your device where to forward the log. Then only data will be coming here. Here you have logger, right? Here you have ESM and you have logger, right? You can enable the connectivity and make the connector listening mode. But whenever somebody is talking, then only connector will be listening, right? Means connector will only receive the data when somebody is forwarding it. Yes or no? When any device is
Configure.
I have to check in the logger. Logs are coming.
So that means we have to configure the end device now where to forward the logs. Yes or no? Now we have to log in on the end device and configure the IP address of the connector where to forward the logs, IP address of the connector as well as port number and protocol. UDP 514, if you have connector 514 and UDP, then you have to configure UDP and 514. Right? So you know what happens? Configuring the connector, installing the connector, doing the required configuration of the connector end is the duty of the administrator, Arcsight administrator, right? But configuring the end device in order to forward the logs is not a duty of end device administrator. Yes or no? It's a responsibility of end device administrator, not ours. Because being an Arcsight administrator or part of SIEM team, we may not have access to end devices. When you have all network device, security device, server application, we may not have access. Get in mind. Otherwise, it's a audit issues. Maybe you will do some changes and some problem will happen, right? So they will not give access to the end device. So in order to configure the end device, we have to contact with the end device administrator. That's the reason during the deployment we had the meeting, why, right? With all the POC, with all the stakeholders saying that we are deploying this, we need your help as well. They nominated a POC to whom we can contact in order to do the configuration of the end devices. Yes or no? So they already nominated a POC who will be the point of contact for doing this kind of configuration. Yes or no? So we'll be communicating. Okay, we'll be sending them the IP address, port number, and protocol. That this is our connector server IP port number protocol. Now we have to configure the log forwarding on the end device in order to forward the logs. Any confusion? This is log. No need to configure this log server.
No need understood because once it's logged, there is only one communication, right?
No. See,
Just leave this concept now.
let me tell you that in my home I have door, right? I have 5 door. One door I have assigned for finance department, right? Anybody who want to come to finance department anybody can come. What is the source, from where they're coming, what is their port does not matter. I have assigned you, this is the gate of finance department. Anybody can come on finance department. Similarly, I'll configure this connector on 514. Any device which supports this connector can forward the log on 514. For example, I'm telling one device. Such n number of devices can forward the log of this connector if they are supporting Syslog defined connector or particular connector that is being installed here. Right? But Syslog defined connector, your firewall also support, your Linux device also support, and your other device also support. All can forward. You can just configure the IP port number protocol on the system and then can forward the log. This is Syslog server only. This is a third-party server, right? How Syslog server is receiving the log? Similarly, your connector server is receiving the log. You will call a Syslog server only. Right? Not C1. I may install one more connector with other port number. Let's say 516. Some devices logs I can send on 516. Some device logs I can say on 514. Everyone, what is the confusion?
The connector server IP will be same, correct?
One moment. Let me explain them. Right. I'm not going that full syslog on particular port. This is full syslog because of syslog. That particular connector will become syslog server. That particular connector will become syslog server on particular port number. Whatever device log you forward on the particular port number, IP and console port number, it will listen. This thing, yes. No, what is the reason for if this connector is having more load, right? Configure one more connector. Do not forward all the one connector. Forward other port number, other connector. That's it. Never mind. No need to forward this connector log to other connector. You see it. Some devices you integrate with this connector. Some devices you integrate with another connector. So we have 2, 3, 4. That's in different port. 2, 3, 4, 5 connectors, syslog connector you can install on different port number. What do you have to install? You are installing on different port number, so that conflict will not happen. Get mind? Otherwise, 2 connectors will be installed on same port number. This will get confused and cannot be installed because one port can be blocked for one application, right? 2 applications cannot use the same port number. Get mind? Clear or no? No. What is the confusion? Right. No, it will forward the now. Simple concept. I'm not sure what kind of confusion is there.
ये क्वेश्चन हो रहा है कि आपने 2 कनेक्टर बोला कि नहीं?
हाँ.
एक अगर लोड हो जाता है अब दूसरे
नहीं ऐसा थोड़ी है.
वो ऐसा बोल रहे हैं.
No. We will ensure how many devices we are integrating. We'll check the performance, right? And if you see the connector is overloaded, no problem. Now we install another syslog connector on another port number, and end device also will configure to another port number, so that another connector will start collecting the logs. That is the thing only, right? It's not something that this syslog, it is one syslog server, then it is overloaded, then you configure other syslog, because every connector is one syslog server. Every individual connector is one syslog server. 2 connector means 2 syslog server separately collecting log on different port number.
Sir, Kishore here.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So let's take this example in this way. We have 2 end devices, and we have installed one syslog connector. So for one device, we have given the port 514, and for another end device, we have installed another syslog connector, and we have given the port 517. Is this correct?
See, let me tell you that. No. Let me tell you that. See, let's see syslog connector you have installed one on port number 514, right?
Yes.
It is syslog daemon connector, default connector. Means if let's say firewall support syslog default format, you can integrate the same connector. Configure the IP address, let's say this 192.168.0.24. This particular connector server IP address is given, right? Port number this one, right? This device supports syslog daemon connector, default connector. You configure port number and protocol IP address port number protocol of this connector and forward this loop. This device also supports syslog daemon connector, right? So you can even this device also you can configure to receive on this particular protocol. You configure the same thing only, this particular IP, this particular port and protocol, and the same connector can receive the logs from 100 of devices which are supporting same connector, same dip format. Just you have to ensure that the utilized performance, because more and more logs on the memory and more log on the CPU, right? So you ensure that if you are integrating the same connector, you have to ensure that it has enough resources. If memory is less, then you stop the connector, increase the memory, and then integrate more devices. Otherwise, connector will be overloaded.
So,
Sandeep here.
Need to assign a new port.
See, it is very straightforward. unnecessarily confusion you are creating yourself. It is very straightforward. No need to think. No need to think too much. It's very straightforward. I am saying it same connector. You have come to the one port number. If you have 100 devices, can support same connector. Connector is a listening board, right? Whoever will forward on particular port number and IP address, I listen. Simple. Yes or no? Either one device or 100 of devices. I should have capability to normalize, to keep on the memory and process. If I have capability, I have resources, I can collect. No problem. You just have to configure. Now connector configuration is one time activity. You configure port number protocol, that's it. Now whatever device you integrate in further, just configure the end device to forward the log. That's it.
My question is,
one moment. Hold on 1 minute. 5 devices already integrating, collecting the logs. Now you have to integrate 6 devices. No need to do any changes in the connector. Just go on the end device, configure the IP address port number protocol, and forward the logs to this connector. Simple.
Sulabh, Sandeep
Yes.
here. I have a question. Is there any limitation with respect to variety of devices or number of devices or the EPS?
There is no as such limitation. The limitation is only of your resources. If let's say this is Syslog daemon connector or Windows connector, whatever you installed, right? So by default, connector has 1 GB of what? JVM, right? JVM. Whenever connector collect the logs, right? It hold the log for microsecond to normalize, right? Runtime. JVM means memory, actually RAM. It's a runtime memory. Whenever logs come, it holds for microsecond on the RAM to normalize, right? So by default 1 GB, it can normalize around 2500 event per second. 2500 event per second based on the type of device you are integrating. Some devices have the high field set, right? Large field set. Some devices have less field set. Generally 2000 or 2500 event per second. It can easily, below 80% memory utilization, it can easily collect, normalize, and send, right? If you are integrating more and more devices with the same connector, right, it has to hold those logs in memory to normalize. So get in mind, if memory gets filled, it will not be able to hold and normalize. In that case, it will start catching the logs, right? Means it will call as connector is overloaded. That's the reason if you are integrating more and more devices with the connector, new devices, make sure to check the memory utilization, CPU utilization. CPU utilization is for full host, right? Whenever any connector you install and check the CPU utilization of the whole server. Memory utilization is for particular connector. So whenever you integrate any device, check the JVM utilization. If JVM utilization less than 70%, 60%, then only you integrate new device. Or if it is already 70-80%, better you increase memory first, then you integrate more device. That's just not limitation. If your connector can support, it's a connector default and can support 100 of different devices, same devices, you can integrate. In Windows connector, we are using 100 of devices, same, yes or no? More than 100 devices, just increase the resources. Similarly, this is Syslog also, default connector, Linux, Unix, iOS, any device which are supporting same connector, Syslog daemon connector, you can integrate 100 of devices. Some connector will be dedicated for a particular device only. Then we cannot integrate other devices with the same connector because one connector, let's say you have a Bluetooth proxy. Bluetooth proxy, you have dedicated connector. Get in mind, that particular connector, you may have to install for that particular device only. No other Bluetooth devices you have. In that case, one connector with one device. Get in mind? Clear?
So when you're talking about resources, can we allocate that 1 GB to 2 GB, 3 GB, any if it
Yes, you can change the memory. You can change the memory, how much you want to allocate. Just increase the memory and add the number of devices.
Sir, give me
For a single connect.
Sir Kishore here. Can you give example of how we can use the customized port numbers?
Means if I have already used,
Sir, I understand, but the point is I'm not getting this, so this is why I keep repeating myself. My question is, I understand this point that default port will be 514 and we can configure end devices with the same IP and port number so that they can forward the logs, right? And we can configure n number of devices to that connector wherein we have given the default port of 514. in what situation or circumstance we can use customized port that is 515 to
Let me tell you
519?
that. Let me tell you that. See,
Yeah.
one connector I have installed Syslog daemon connector on
Yes.
514 port number and UDP, let's say. Now, these all Linux devices, I have integrated this connector. Now I have got Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager, Symantec AV, right? Symantec AV I got. Now this Symantec AV also generates the logs in Syslog format only, and it can forward the logs. But the problem here is Symantec AV does not have all default field set. It has some extra field set also apart from default field set. Right? So if I forward the logs on Syslog daemon connector, some log will not be normalized. In that case, Arcsight document, if I go through, it is written that for Symantec AV, there is a dedicated Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager connector. In that case, separate dedicated Syslog connector you have to install. So that means I have to install another Syslog, that is again a Syslog connector, but having some extra field set. Get it mind? So another connector I have to install in that case. I have 514, I already installed one port connector, then same other connector I cannot install on 514. In that case, I have to go with the 515 or some other port.
All set, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, got it? Yes. So that is again a Syslog connector, right? But only thing is some extra field set is happening. So in that case, it's already utilized 514, I have to install another port number. Get your mind? It's very simple. It's very, very simple, right? So understand simply only. Simple thing you understand. Don't make it too complicated. It's very simple, straightforward, right? So just configure the connector, enter port number, IP address, check the connectivity, check firewall is there or not. If there, make sure the port is open. Now go on the end device and configure the port number, protocol, and IP address of connector server in order to forward the logs. So I said that that's not your responsibility because you guys will not have access to configure the end device to forward the logs. In that case, who will do that? End device administrator, right? So your contact. So let's say now you install the connector. You have 10 Linux devices to be integrated. 10 Linux devices. Now with this connector, because initially, let's say initially you are integrating, right? You have got the asset list. So with this connector, you are planning to integrate 10 Linux devices as of now. Maybe router also have the same. Maybe you will reach out to network team in that case, right? So now you will send an email to Linux team saying that team, we are in process of integrating Linux devices with our Arcsight, right? We have seen that these 10 devices are under your ownership, right? So kindly configure the log forwarding. Kindly below is the connector server IP and port number protocol. Now the challenge here is Linux team or some other the device that you are integrating. Since many people are doing it first time, configuring the log from IP and port number protocol, they might be doing it the first time. They do not know where to configure, how to configure the port number and protocol of IP address and connector. They understand that we have given all the email, right? They understand they have configured, but they are new in this. They have never done this configuration. They will not understand how to do it. What step they have to follow, right? In that case, we do not give that chance, right? On the email itself, we mention the step. You understand that on the connector device integration document, it is written what kind of configuration has to be done in the end device. Means how to configure the port number protocol and IP address on the end device in order to forward the logs. Yes or no? We understand it is already written on the device integration document. So device integration document is big document, maybe 10-15 pages, right? So you see in between there is a step written how to configure the end device, right? You copy those steps and create a Word document, Word or PDF document. Word or PDF document, just copy those steps, how to configure the log forward port number protocol, right? And keep it in Word or PDF document. This particular document we call as, this document is called as log baseline document. This document is called as log baseline document. Log baseline document is the document on which we mention what kind of configuration has to be done on the end device in order to forward the logs to the same. That is called as log baseline document. Step by step is written. So I already copied those steps. I cannot forward a full document. Otherwise, the end device will get confused, right? Whatever activity has to be done by you, only those steps I'll forward to you. Why to send the full document unnecessarily? You'll ask n number of questions to me. Yes or no? So I'm just copying those steps on the Word document and I am sending it to the recording. कैसे चालू हो गई है? Recording. बहुत देर से है क्या? क्या गलती से चालू हो गई थी? अच्छा रिकॉर्ड सेव भी हो गया. Mind? Yes or no? So that Word document, that location document, along with the IP address protocol, I mentioned that team. We are in the process of integrating Linux devices or particular devices with Arcsight, right? So below are the list of devices which are under your ownership. Kindly follow the attached process location document and configure the below detail of the connector on those devices. Once you've done it, let us know. We will check whether logs are coming or not. Get it? After getting the emails, I am the Linux administrator. Now I'll log in on the device. Now I'll log in on the device and check, okay, this IP address. I'll open the document, location document, and configure respectively all the detail, port number, IP, and what are the steps have been given. I'll follow this. Once it is done, I'll reply back to you, SIEM team, saying that team, we have done the required configuration. You can check and let us know if logs are coming. So once they configure it, and now we'll log in. So this connector is forwarding the logs to the ESML logger, right? Parallelly, your connector never stores the logs at the situation. So as soon as connector receives the log, it will forward to the logger in ESM. So you log in on either on the logger or on the ESM and check and mention device address equal to IP address and device that you have just now integrated, right? If 10 devices you have integrated, mean 10 IP you have. So one IP you can mention device address equal to this IP. Check last for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, logs are coming, integration successful. Every IP you check, device address equal to IP address of the end device. Check IP address, give last 10 15 minute query, logs are coming, integration successful. If particular device logs are not coming, means then what do you do? Troubleshooting. Yes or no? Troubleshooting why logs are not coming, port number, protocol, connectivity is not there, or administrator has done some mistake while configuring, right? Single mistake, single space, single change may impact, right? The configuration wrong configuration. May possible IP address there is some space. While he is mentioning the IP address, there are some space left. Then it will be wrong. Some number mistake, configuration mistake, right? So that time some troubleshooting. So in this case, you might have to go on the call along with him. See, configuration of the end device is not your job. It's job of end device administrator. But might be she will make some mistake. Sometimes logs are not coming. So you can ask me, okay, do one thing, we'll schedule a call and we'll do it together. We'll verify what is going wrong. Connectivity port number you already checked from your end. Now there might be some configuration issues. Because it's a human nature, right? Human can make the mistakes. Can you mind? If we and 2-3 guys are going together, there's a high possibility of success. Can you mind? Instead of single person is doing it. Maybe if I'll get in the call, I may identify some errors. Yes or no? So I'll get into the call along with him and I'll ask him to share the screen and verify whether he is making all the things correct. Oh, you identify, okay, actually the port number you have incorrectly mentioned is actually not 514, it is actually 515. Previous devices I have shared for 514, it is now 515. That's a mistake you found. Yes or no? Oh, there is a space left after the IP address. Oh, after dot sign there is a space left. Some silly mistake may happen and resulting logs are not being forwarded. You'll learn a lot of things. You'll learn a lot of things while you're doing the integration. Maybe many teams you'll coordinate, and coordination, communication, a lot of things you are going to learn if you get into this kind of activities. A lot of teams you have to communicate, you have to talk, you have to do the follow-up, you have to do the configuration, you have to take the screen sharing, management meetings and all. A lot of things you are going to learn if you can get that kind of opportunity. Many teams you will coordinate. Sometimes routing team, network team, firewall team, sometimes you have to coordinate to fix the connectivity issues, right? Change management to make the changes, to get the change approved. So many teams you are going to do a very good job. What step you have written so far? Port number is open or not, right? Now we'll send the connector detail connector detail as well as log based document to end device administrator. We'll send the connector detail like IP address. Now we'll send the connector detail like IP address, port number, protocol, along with now we'll forward the connector details such as IP address, port number, and protocol. Along with attached log based document.
So attach which document?
Log based document. This is written log based document, right? Means what kind of configuration has to be done on end device, right? That is called log based document. So along with attached log based document. In order to forward the logs.
Sir, different connectors will have the same IP address or different IP address?
IP address will remain same. See, one server you may have 25-30 connector, right? For every connector, yes, IP address will remain same. Will differentiate the connector based on the port number.
Okay.
Remember, every connector to the Syslog or any connector will be on different port. Okay, got it? Two connector cannot be on the same port. Yes or no? No? Yes.
Yes.
So parsing means parser. Using the parser only can parse, right? Parsing, the process of parsing. Parsing the process, right? Using parser file only parsing will happen, right? Breaking down the event as well as normalization happen based on the parser file. Parser is nothing but the mapping which defines the mapping of device specific field set with the Arcsight defined field set, right? It will break down the event as well as it will map the device specific field set with the Arcsight defined field set, right? There are two terms, parsing and normalization. Parsing is just to break down the event logs into single event, right? That is called as parsing. And mapping of device specific field set with Arcsight defined field set is called as normalization. Elements here Arcsight defined field set or any same related field set, right? That is called normalization. Got it? Yes or no? So now what is the step you have done? Now we'll send the detail to the end device to configure the log forwarding, right? And the next step, last step is once end device administrator configure the log forwarding. Once end device administrator configures the log forwarding, configure the log forwarding, will log in now to verify, configure the log forwarding to verify the logs. Now to verify the logs, will log in either logger or the ESM. Will log in either on the logger or the ESM.
Sir, verify the logs next.
Now, in order to verify the logs, we'll log in either logger or the ESM. And give the query if I use.
So this logger and ESM are pre-configured with the syslog daemon? No, right? We
See,
have to
logger is forward, connector is forward in the logs, right?
Yeah.
So not to be sure, the last time we have configured,
Yeah.
configuring connector to forward the logs to logger. We registered with ESM. Logger we had some problems, we could not configure, but we configured connector to forward the logs to ESM, right?
So in the case of
Now,
Windows, we have segregated security log, syslog, and application log, right? Are we doing here as well?
Here, yes. Here, you know what happens? What you are doing here? I'm checking whether it is good. Here, in the device itself, there's a log level. In the various devices, there are having log level. In the connector, we are not configuring which logs we have to collect, right? Generally, the syslog devices are having log level 1, log level 2, log level 3, 4. So every log level define which type of log has to be forwarded. Get I mean? I'll show you the document while I'll show you Cisco ACE integration. So router, switches, firewall are having log level, right? So which level of log means like informational logs, log level 1, only alert and warning, log level 2. So what kind of log you want to forward? You have to configure the log facility. Get I mean? On the device itself, because it's working on the push mechanism now. So you'll configure on the device itself what kind of log you want to forward. Not on the connector, because connector is receiving the log from n number of devices, right? So not only on device on the connector end, but in this case you have to configure on device end.
Okay.
Understand? Okay. So now, क्या लिखा था आपने यार? Now we log in on the ESML logger and give the query device address is equal to IP address of the end device that you have just now integrated, right? Is equal to IP address of the end device. I'm just checking whether this is good or I just made it a bit thin. IP address of the end device. This is good, I think. It's better. है ना? But you guys, both are okay, right? This is okay, I think. For online, this is okay. This is good. So, yes.
Sir, how many devices are connected to a single connector?
Sir, अभी बताया ना आपको n number of devices can connect. N number of.
Okay, but for a single device, we are configuring with a single port of the single connector, right?
Yeah.
Separately.
You have the option. If you have multiple SIM, single device can forward the logs to multiple SIM also. This SIM also, this one copy of log to this SIM, one copy of log to this SIM. Okay? It has capability. Okay, but you will not have multiple SIM on the same company, right? But if you have certain requirement, end device has the function to forward the logs in multiple destinations. But here, one device will forward the logs to the SIM, one connector, okay, one particular port number.
So the device static IP remains the IPs of the connector and logger, is it right?
Right. No. The device address means end device IP address, right? You want to check, you just now integrated. Now you want to check whether logs are coming from a particular device or not after integration. So log in the logger or ESM and give device address equal to IP address of the end device. Because after normalization, particular device address, the particular IP address of the end device will be mapped with device address field, right? So you have to give the device address equal to IP address of the end device. If logs are coming, or you also hostname also captured, you put device host equal to hostname of the end device. Anything you can give. Right? So sometimes, you know what happens? Sometimes some device do not capture the host name, or sometimes some device may not capture the IP address. So better you check on both the ways. If you guess that your device is equal to IP address, logs are coming, no need to check with the host. If logs are not coming, then you may enter device is equal to host address, right? Host name. Check on both the ways in case one way logs are not coming, right? So either you have to put on device address equal to IP address of the end device, or you configure enter query device host equal to host name of the end device. Logs are coming, that means integration is successful. Yes or no? Easy? Easy, right? Not very tough.
Yeah, got it, sir, got it.
Like as in when we are integrating Windows devices, we are ensuring that RPC service is enabled to pull the logs. So
That
is
is
there?
that is only for Windows. That is
Yeah,
only
yeah.
for
So in this, like it works on the push mechanism. Do we need to integrate ensure that any service is enabled, or only by integrating only by
by default.
configuring the port
By
and
default, there's a syslog. By default, there's a syslog mechanism, syslog service. It will by default run. So there is a process for firewall and all. You need not to install because those are very critical. For Linux devices, there is a process. We have to install a syslog service on Linux, but that is separate for separate device, right? We look in the document and we'll understand.
okay, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
got it. So this is the process of integrating any syslog device. Correct? Either your router, switch, firewall, IPS, IDS, Linux devices, iOS, any device will be able to integrate after following this process. You are, you got into interview asking that how will you integrate a checkpoint device? Have you integrated checkpoint device, checkpoint firewall? You said that no, I have not integrated. So can you let me know if I have given checkpoint device to you to integrate? Can you let me know how will you integrate it? I said, yeah, I can tell you that. Okay, first step. Okay, first step. Whatever I do is whatever any device I write not a checkpoint. So I'll check first whether it's supported by Arcsight or not. Means whether a smart connector is available to integrate the device or not. Right. So I'll check on the document. Arcsight supported product list. What is listed? That means it is supported and the smart connector available. It is not listed. That means we have to go with the flex connector. That means now if it is listed, then I'll download the integration document. In the integration document, I can see which all version is supported. Then I'll check whether I have that version. Firewall is mentioned or not, right? It is mentioned, it is supported. Then I'll check which connector I have to install, whether Syslog daemon connector or dedicated checkpoint firewall connector is available. Now I can come to know. I can also check what kind of configuration has to be done on the connector end, as well as what kind of configuration has to be done on the device end. Right? I checked everything now. Now I came to know checkpoint dedicated connector is there. If it is dedicated connector, then I will install a checkpoint connector on the connector server. If it is supporting Syslog daemon connector default connector, then I will check whether I have Syslog daemon connector already installed or not. If it is already installed, no need to install. Or if since it is a firewall, if I have a special requirement from a company that firewall should be into a separate connector, I may have to install another Syslog daemon connector. So if it is dedicated connector, I will install it, and daemon connector depends. If already installed, I may connect with the device with the same connector. Get it? So let's say new daemon connector I will install for this profile. Then I will install the connector and configure the port number and protocol. Get it? So now by default port number is 514 in UDP protocol. But if I already have Syslog daemon connector, I will check it out which port number they are using. Right? I'll check the free port number. Let's say 514, 556 is already being used. Then I will configure 517 or any port number more than 1024. Get it? And I'll check on the checkpoint whether it supports TCP or UDP protocol. If I want to, and if it is UDP, how we can configure it to TCP also. Then I will configure the connector, port number, and protocol on which it has to listen the logs. Get it? Yes or no? Configure the port number protocol on the connector. Configure the port number protocol and install the connector. Right? Now I'll check connectivity. That checkpoint file that I'm going to integrate. I'll check connectivity is there or not. I'll run some ping command and check the connectivity. If ping is not working or connectivity is not there, I'll reach out to contact the network team to establish the connectivity. Now I'll check the port number. I may do to the telnet. If telnet not working at all, I can reach out to the firewall team. I can send mail to firewall team to ensure that port number is open that we have configured between the end device, checkpoint firewall, as well as my connector server. If port is open, now I'll just copy those steps. How to configure the log firewall on the end device in a PDF Word document that we call as log based document. Now I'll send an email to the checkpoint firewall team and mentioning my connector server IP address, port number, and protocol along with attached log based document. I'll ask them to configure the log forwarding. Once they does the log forwarding, then I'll verify by logging the logger or ESM, mention that device address equal to IP address of end device or device host is equal to IP address of my host name of my firewall. If logs are coming, integration is successful. In case logs are still not coming, I may have to get into the call along with him for that troubleshooting. What is went wrong with the connectivity, port number, or any configuration mistake happen. right? We'll check troubleshooting, right? Troubleshooting is happening, like maybe a mistake and anything, right? So we'll fix it out. Sometimes some problem happens sometimes. I'm telling you, sometimes connectivity also there, port number is also open, and configuration also you have done rightly. Still locks are not coming. In that case, we'll raise the case with the end device tech support team. At a checkpoint, then we'll ask the administrator to raise the case with the checkpoint support. Why checkpoint is not forwarding the logs? There are some command, TCP dump command. In the Linux, you can run TCP dump command. TCP dump command, you can verify whether particular device forwarding the logs or not. There might be some scenario where your connector is not receiving the logs. Yes or no? TCP dump is to packet capture command, packet capture, right? So you can run those commands on the end device to check whether your end device is forwarding the logs or not. Get I mean? So TCP run command is forwarding the logs to particular destination, particular port number, means there is no problem on the firewall end. There might be problem on your connector end. If connector is installed on the Linux, you can run TCP command on the connector server also, whether from particular source on particular port number logs are coming or not. Even though connector is not forwarding the log and you're not receiving the log, but you can run some TCP dump command. I'm not just making it complicated, but you can check it out. What is the TCP command? We can do some packet capturing. This is a troubleshooting step. In case logs are not coming, right, you can run those commands to check whether particular device is forwarding the logs or not, device itself. Right? You log in on the end device and TCP dump command is not forwarding the logs anywhere. Then raise the queue with the end device device tech support team, right? Support team, checkpoint support team to check. You don't know TCP command, no problem. You raise the case with support team. They will do their self check TCP dump. Then you will learn. See, during one thing you learn when you get into the call with the support. Sometimes you'll have some problem with the log or ESM or connector, log are not capturing, something happen. You raise the case with the support. They will get into the call and they will do some investigation, troubleshooting. You'll learn a lot of things. This is how people learn. Get your mind? Yes or no? Understand? So that is how you'll understand. So now Linux is also one of the Syslog device. Yes or no? Linux is also supported because Linux, Unix, IOs or the devices which are hosted in this platform will support Syslog, right? So now after the break, we'll understand how to integrate Linux devices because Linux is very popular, right? Maybe 100, 200 devices you will get on Linux on all the companies. So that's the reason I'll be explaining you how to integrate Linux devices. So you can write, you have integrated Windows device, Linux devices, firewall, this device, so that it will be rich on your resume. Resume will be rich with the content, right? What you have done. So after the break, we'll be connecting around 11:35 and we'll talk about how to integrate Linux devices. Okay.